Hey there, I'm Kevin Clay, regular guy here to talk today about how much you, as a narrator, should be charging for your services. And the simple answer is as much as you can get. That's it. That's how things work in basic economics in a free enterprise system. You're starting out, you probably don't make as much money, and then you get the skills and the experience to then start making more money. That's not really that complicated, except for some people who want to tell you how to do your business. Now let me look at, first of all, at what the popular in some groups thinking is. Their advice is, look, you're starting out, there is no newcomer rate in audiobooks. You need to charge $250 per hour. That's today. That number keeps changing, I notice, over the years. But you need to start charging $250 an hour. And you say, okay, great. I go, well, I can't get any work at $250 an hour. No, you need to know what you're worth. But nobody else thinks I'm worth that. Oh, well, in that case, you need to get lots of training. Oh, okay, so I could take lesser paid jobs and then use that money to get training? No, you can't do that. You'll denigrate the industry. You'll turn it into a cesspool. Now, this is from an industry that produces titles like I Was the Teenage Love Slave of a Weirweasel. And you think somebody making $100 per finished hour is going to denigrate the industry? You know, give me a break. But anyway, so that's the thinking, is that for some reason you're not allowed to make any money until you get up to this level that they have predetermined at which you will be acceptable into the fold. And now you can start earning money. Bullshit. That's, what else can you say? Look, I'm going to make some assumptions right here about you. I'm going to assume that you're in audiobooks right now or starting out because you probably already got a crappy job that you don't like, that you're not making any money at, and maybe some people you work with, some management's kind of obnoxious and overbearing. Why trade one crappy job and overbearing management for another? This is your career. You work for yourself. You set your prices. Now, one of my assumptions here is that you're not an idiot, and that's A, and B, that you'd like to make as much money as possible, okay? So you're not going to be content trading one crappy job making nothing for another. And yeah, if you're doing your audiobooks for $50 per finished hour, those are out there. One thing, it's a lot of work you're going to find for that little money. And the other thing is, most of the people in that range that I see online offering books are scammers. There's a good chance you're not going to get paid anything. But that doesn't mean they all are, and ultimately that's your decision. I would say starting out, I'm just go back and say, rather than all this theoretical stuff that you hear on these, from these other people, well, and this could happen and that could happen, and you're keeping me from making my money. Forget that. This is about you and how you can make money. And I'm going to share with you, here's what I did. And I talked about this a little in my last video, but I'm going to go into a little bit more in depth on how you go from starting out doing royalty share, making nothing, to making some good money. And let me also say, in my first year, yes, I made $17 in Audible, in audiobooks. Second year, I had my statement on the last video, it was $22,000 and something that I got from Audible. So I'm not just spending a bunch of stuff I've heard other people say. This is my own experience. Your actual mileage may vary, okay? And let me also say too, if you're the type, if you've got the experience, you've got an acting background and an audio background, and you can enter this industry and immediately start making $250 an hour, good for you. That is wonderful. But the market determines your value, not you, and not some other person, yammering away in a chat group somewhere. The way you find out what you're worth is by what will people pay. And so when you're starting out, most likely if you're coming with no experience or very, very little experience, here's what I did. Got me some royalty share books. These you're not going to make a lot of money on these. Hear people say, well, no, if you pick the right royalty share books. Let me tell you why that's bogus. Because if it's a book that's up for royalty share that looks like it's already selling well on Amazon or wherever else, that's going to catch the eye of more experienced narrators. And if you're starting out, the honest truth is you're going to have a hard time taking jobs, winning jobs away from these other guys who have got more experience, a better sound or whatever. So the royalty share books that you are going to get are probably going to be not very good. Some guy, he wrote a book, he thought it'd be neat to put an audiobook. That's okay, because you can take these books and get experience. What is not okay, in my opinion, is for then, a $100 per finished hour book comes along and you say, hey, I could use that money, and someone else to step in and go, no, you don't deserve, you shouldn't take that. Hey, who are these people? Are they signing your paycheck? Tell them to butt out. This is your career. Remember that. This is your career. You're the boss. You get to decide what decisions are made. And hopefully you want to make decisions that'll get you to making good money as soon as possible. So in my case, back to me. Did a couple of royalty share books, had an author approach me. He had a series of books. He was a new author. And he said, hey, I've got this book. Would you do it for $75 per finished hour? Now, from making nothing, I mean, yeah, that's a nice bump. And I'm thinking, I can use this money for stuff. So it's like a 4 or 5 hour book. I was able to take that money then and buy a course. You go to patfraley.com. You got Pat Fraley and Scott Brick. There are other good coaches too, but these are guys who are doing it. They are successful. They're not just theory. They're telling you, here's what we do, here's what we did to get to this point. And that's always my favorite way of doing things. Find the person doing what you want to do and ask them. Don't go to someone who just has a nice typing spread on a Facebook chat room or whatever. So I took that money that I got, taking the Benjamin Franklin advice of empty the coins in your purse into your head, and your head will fill your purse with coins. And once again, this is advice that transcends audiobook industry, goes into anything. And in spite of what people say, audiobooks are no different from anything else. So now, I took that $75, that I'd made 4 or 5 hours on, bought a course, and I learned a lot in that first book I did too. So when the author came back to me, I said, look, how about $100 per finished hour this time? Can we do that? And he said, yeah, sure. Because that's the other thing that you will learn if you take these low-paying jobs is that, that's an awful lot of work for just $75 per finished hour. And as you may have mentioned before, I think I did, if I were you, I would totally avoid anything 50 and under. Someone paying that is not serious. They're going to be more of a hassle, less likely to pay. And they will tend to be scammers in that range. So just my friendly word of advice, you may find something that you go, no, this is different. Okay, and that's your business. But generally, most authors, I think, realize $100 an hour is kind of a minimum. And you got to remember, too, to look at it from the author's standpoint. Someone starting out, had a woman come into the one of the narrator Facebook groups, and she said, hey, I've written this book. I'm looking for a narrator. I'm paying $100 per finished hour. They literally tore her to pieces. I mean, it was just vicious. It was rude. It was nasty. And she made the comment, said, hey, look, this is grocery money to me. I'm trying to give someone an opportunity. But of course, she was run out of the group. And in fact, I even wrote her a message and apologized for the behavior of the people because they don't get it. I did not offer to do her book for $100 an hour because I know that's an awful lot of work. But for someone starting out, you do a 5 or 6 hour book, you make $500 or $600. Now you can take that money and buy one of these courses. And so that's what I did with this guy. He had a couple more books. I did it at that $100 rate. But now, so how do you move up from that? Well, that's the beauty of ACX, is you keep auditioning for these higher level books. And then once you get those books, say you now have got a book at $250 an hour per finished hour, guess what your new rate is? $250 per hour. And hopefully it won't take you too long to get to that with a little experience, with a little training. And you did it because you just used basic common business sense of, okay, I'll charge a good fee for my talent and experience level, get me some money, and I will improve my talent and experience so now I can make better money. So $250, that's, I got some jobs that, hey, this is nice. Then I got another book that I auditioned for in that range, and the woman, the author of these books, she said, just sent me a note and said, I pay $300 per finished hour for my production. Okay, guess what my new rate is? $300 per finished hour. So that's the way you find out what you're worth. Just saying it doesn't make it so. That whole stuff about you've got to know your worth. Say you're worth $250 per hour. But if it's not true, then you're just going to get in trouble. You're going to be disappointed. You're not going to get these jobs. You got to figure out your worth, what it's worth to you to learn and train. And while I'm at it, I'm going to address another thing. You hear people say, well, if you're doing that, you're learning on the client's dime, and that's unethical. I don't have my Bible here with me, but where is that? Where is that written down? And the other thing too, I think is so funny, the same people who say this will then brag about how much they've spent on coaching over the last year. But whoa, coaching? You mean you're still learning? Where are you getting that money? Is this money you made from audiobooks? Then you're learning on the customer's dime, right? Oh, but that's okay, because that's them and they're at this level and you're down here. So just I'm going to say it. Something you need to watch out for in these narrator groups, you got to realize any of the performance industries, and it's broadcasting, audiobooks, acting, news reporting. If you'll Google industries that attract narcissists, any of the performing industries, and including things like psychology, salespeople, preachers, and doctors. Not saying that all these people are narcissists, but a lot of these people in the groups are your typical narcissists. And what are narcissists about? Attention and control. Look at me, do what I say. They're not looking out for what's best for you. They're not going to give you the plan that's going to help you get from here to here. Because it always comes back to, pay attention, you're worth $250 an hour. You need to know your worth. I care for you. That's why I'm telling you this. Okay, I'm not getting any work at $250 an hour. Can I do $100 an hour? No. Because by you doing that, you're teaching these authors and rights holders that that's okay to pay, and you're cutting into my pay now. You see, it's all about them. Whereas I realize that hopefully the kind of product that I'm going to deliver is worth what I'm charging. So if you're out there charging $100 per finished hour, that's because that's the level that you're at. And not being an idiot, once again, I'm assuming this about you, you're going to realize pretty quickly, I'd like to make more than this. I'd like to get up to that 250, 300, 350 and up, range, right? So all these other arguments don't matter, and they're very bad too. And you'll hear this, there is no newcomer rate. I heard one guy say, it's just like at McDonald's. The guy making the burgers makes the same amount of money, whether it's his first burger or it's his 300th burger. But you see, that's a bad analogy because he is not the product. The burger is the product. And if some consultant comes into McDonald's and says, hey, you need to be charging $15 for that burger, that's what, otherwise you're denigrating the burger industry. So McDonald's starts charging $15 for that little cheeseburger, the little pads of meat and onion and or whatever it is and buns. Guess what? People are going to say for $15, I can go down to the steakhouse and get a really good burger. It's the same way in narration. There is no difference. Free enterprise works the same across the board. So starting out, so you don't tell McDonald's, so shut down. It's just there are always going to be people who say, look, I don't have as much money. I'll take a chance on a new narrator like you. I'll take a chance, and then you can take that money and put it into training. So now you can get up and make better burgers and get up to that $15 steak burger instead of that little McDonald's cheeseburger. It's all very simple. And these other people make it a lot more complicated. Once again, this is your business, though. The deals that you make are up to you. Once again, warnings, though. Watch out for people. Look for any red flag. Anyone who's paying you $100 an hour or less than $250, if they start putting out a lot of things, well, I want an upper Scandinavian accent and an East South Carolina accent exactly, and and then they start trying to micromanage, it's not worth it. And it's okay to tell them that. I see, your narrators, freaking out about this stuff. Look, it's your business. You're the boss. You don't have to do anything for anybody you don't want to. Slavery is over, okay? And so it's perfectly okay to say, look, and I have had to do this only a couple of times, say, look, all this information you're giving me, if I'm going to have to second guess my performance the whole way through this, I don't think that I'm going to be able to give you the kind of product that you or I are going to be happy with. And we might want to look at some other options on getting this book produced. That's what you say. And both times I've had them come back and say, oh, never mind. But once again, watch out for people lowballing you. I would say, just my own, at least as of this point in 2020, $100 per finished hour. If you're going to do a per finished hour, that's pretty good. If you've already honed your skills some, and then try to get out of that range as quick as possible and get up to those good paying books. But the way you do that and the rate you do that, that's really totally your business and not someone else's. So I hope this has been helpful. And once again, if you're saying, no, I totally disagree. I think I need to just keep training and work on this until I'm worth $250 per finished hour. That's fine. That's your business, right? But I guess my main problem is other people who are telling the rest of you who are saying $100 per finished hour. Yeah, I could use $500 or $600. For people to tell you that that's wrong and you're evil and all this and that, who are these people and why are we listening to them? Okay? They're not looking out for you, they're looking out for themselves. So I'm trying to give you real world advice here, and hopefully it's helpful. And if it makes sense to you, fine. If it doesn't, that's fine too. But you do what you feel like is best for you and try to get up to those good paying books as soon as possible. And once again, if there's anything I can do for you, if you've got questions, my email kevinclay@kevinclay.com. I've had a lot of people email off the last video I did, and I have no problem at all trying to answer it to the best of my ability or point you in the direction of someone who can answer that. So good luck, go make some money, and get to the big bucks as soon as you can.